Welcome in to this Tuesday morning edition, Blue Sky Live here with you today. Chase Parham and Neal McCready will tell you about the Clark Ford studio in 1 minute. Tonight, we've got Ole Miss baseball against Murray State. Ole Miss very well acquainted with the Racers, the first meeting since the regional last year when Murray State upset Ole Miss in the opening game and in the final, and then also beat Duke twice in Durham to advance to the College World Series. Not the same set of racers this season for Murray State, but we'll get into that a little bit. Owen Kelly tonight on the mound, and then multiple football topics, some spring football stuff. Pete talking later on today around noon, something like that, for Mr. Golding. And going to look at a story that our great buddy Pat Forty wrote on Sports Illustrated today regarding Louisville, because I think it's a sign of kind of where college athletics is in general. So we'll discuss all that and more coming up today on a show brought to you every day by Blue Sky locations over the state of Mississippi, up and down I-55, throughout North Mississippi as well. You got the gas car wash combo there in Byram. You got the Epicenter down in Macomb. And here locally, the Oxford Exxon, you get the lunch specials, brisket, pulled pork, side items, desserts, and much more available to you. Again, that's Blue Sky locations everywhere, and Mr. McCready's in the Clark Ford studio.
I am. Clark Ford is in Amory, Mississippi, 662-257-1900. Call that number. Ask for our friend Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. It's right to the bottom line. There's no hassle. There's no haggle. You get your quote. The rest is up to you. You can shop that quote around. You can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do, and that's hop into a Clark Ford today, 662-257-1900. Corey and the people at Clark Ford want to be your car guy. They want to be your truck guy. They'll prove to you what it means. Just make the call, 662-257-1900. Guest join on the Campbell Clinic hotline. From fractures and sports injuries to complex spine and limb conditions, the pediatric orthopedic physicians at Campbell Clinic in Oxford are the only specialized pediatric orthopedic team in North Mississippi, providing expert care for growing bodies. Visit campbellclinicoxford.com to schedule an appointment or call 901-759-3111.
Just a quick update. I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. There are a few free Mississippi Gadsden flag tags still available. Again, I talked about that, 3 or 4 weeks ago on the show. I made a post on the message board. At that time, it is the yellow tag with the "Don't Tread on Me," the snake, the old Revolutionary War logo there that was on a flag. Back then, that tag is available for free for anyone that wants to sign up for that. Again, that's gadsdenflag.com. Why are we talking about Wilco in the stream this morning?
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, we're talking about that. Widespread panic. Got music combos going there in the stream, so I'm not sure. Last night, the Twitter sphere kind of caught on and started talking about him in a message board post. Matthew Tkachuk was wearing an Ole Miss hoodie at his brother Brady's NHL playoff game last night. Matthew plays for the Florida Panthers. They did not make the playoffs after being very good the last few years, back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. Both brothers are on the gold medal winning Team USA hockey team on the men's side as well. And the Senators, again, who Brady, the brother, plays for, took a picture of Matthew with his family last night at the game, and he had an Ole Miss hoodie on. Wilco is headlining Double Decker. Sorry, I was not aware of that. I apologize. Was wearing an Ole Miss hoodie, and people asking why and how, and it was kind of all over the internet once you searched around a little bit. He is from St. Louis, had a bunch of friends that had gone to Ole Miss, had come down to Oxford, and had developed a love of college football through visiting the Rebels. So I guess kind of a sidewalk fan, if you will, there for Matthew Tkachuk and his history with Ole Miss. So the more you know. I was not aware of that until last night. Credit to my good friend Patrick Oakes, who is a hockey fanatic. He alerted me to the tweet, and then I started doing a little research after that. So good luck to his Stars in the first round.
Hell of a hockey player.
Yeah, that family is quite impressive when it comes to hockey. Their dad, Keith Tkachuk, highly successful there for a long time in the NHL, and then Matthew and Brady both on the Olympic team. Chauncey says, does Oxford allow alcohol in the streets during double decker? I mean, don't be stupid, but they're not going around grabbing cups and pouring them out at the same time.
double decker and my schedule the last several years have just simply not worked. I think
No.
I've been in town 1 year, the last 5 double deckers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I'll be out of town again this weekend, so I won't. I was never the go to the concert at night double decker person because I'm not a big concert person much, but yeah, it just the way the schedule falls for me in double decker, it just never really works out.
Well, it's home baseball most of the time, and I'm kind of with you. I don't really do the concerts for the most part. I feel if you can call it feeling uncool when they release the bands every year. I know maybe one or two of them. Most of them I've never heard of before that moment when I see them on the piece of paper. I've gone some mornings for very specific purposes the last few years. I'll go for an hour or two on maybe Saturday morning, and I'm going for a mission though. I think only once in the last 5 or 6 years have I been there at night or just sort of hanging out socially in some capacity. So yeah, I'm kind of with you, but they're going to get they'll get a huge crowd, a lot of vendors, a lot of folks coming into town for that here this weekend. Again, Ole Miss baseball, Georgia, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Meet the Rebels is on Saturday. Put out some information on that on the message board last night as well. So if you're a subscriber, go check that out if you're coming into town for Meet the Rebels, autographs, pictures, that kind of thing. There was some do's, some don'ts, some FAQs, if you will, on that there in the message board. So just be aware of that. Let's see. Anything else in the stream before we get going? I don't guess so. So we'll get into it a little bit. Pete Golding speaking again today. This is his, third of 4 spring practice appearances with us. Is that right? One more next week, and then that'll close it?
I think that's right. Yeah. I think that's right. This sounds terrible. I don't have a lot to ask Pete Golding today.
I was just about to key you here because, the first time he does one, he hadn't talked in a while. There's lots of news, kind of give us some updates, see what's going on. And then even though it's very minimal, we've been out there and you kind of do something last week and it's whatever. And then this week it's kind of like, okay, well, if nobody's hurt and nobody's really doing anything, what do we, you in phase 3 yet, Pete? How'd the mock game go? Did you win? I don't know.
I'm glad you're saying it, not me, because if I said it, I think I'd kind of get beat up a little bit. Yeah. It's that deal, and I think you and I are very similar in this way. It's sometimes I think in our field, people try to force seasons, and they almost end up treating spring like preseason, and it's not, because they're not preparing for anybody. They are behind the scenes. I promise you, the coaching staff is spending time on Louisville and Charlotte and LSU and Florida and on and on. But they're not taking that information to the players. Not yet. At all. And so, they're looking at recruiting and they're figuring out some stuff, but there's just not a lot of I don't have a lot of topical questions to ask him. I would love to deep dive into some big picture stuff, but I don't really want to do that with 20 other people in the room where it becomes everyone else's content. So I think you feel the same way. It's kind of like fall baseball. There's some stuff you can do with it, but if you're trying to dive into the nuts and bolts of it, there's only so much you can do before you're writing content that you're going to rewrite in a few months.
Well, and we've both heard things, talked to people. You catch ideas and sort of general thoughts on position groups and things as spring practice plays out. You mentioned some of this in, I think, point 2 and 10 thoughts on Monday when that was published. So again, Rebels 24/7. If you will, for that. And, as I'm leading into this, one thing that Pete said last week that I did find, I don't know about surprising, but I'm glad somebody said it out loud because I would have believed either direction of this, is he said he didn't believe retention was very powerful between spring and fall. said that he didn't think things stuck for the most part, that they sort of had to redo it in August.
Yeah, they're putting some stuff in, and maybe it'll make in the fall when there's more urgency, it'll make it where it's easier to learn. But they are going to circle back and do all of this again. I mean, look, I give him tons of credit because at day one, first day of spring that we had access, I asked, if it were up to you, would you do the NFL model? And the easy answer to that is, well, it's not up to me. So we do what they tell us we can do. Instead, he said, this is the way we do this doesn't really make a lot of sense if you think about it. And he explained what would make sense and what would make sense and where they're going. It's going to happen sooner rather than later is more of an NFL mini camp model where you slowly ramp up over the summer to get to a place where when the season rolls around, you're fully ready instead of this April 30th is the last day you can practice, period. If you've practiced 15 times, if you've practiced twice.
Yes, there is a window.
April 30th at the end of the day, that's it. So then you have to go May, June, July. Ole Miss opens the season September 6th. I would guess, this is fully a guess, that they'll start camp like August the 2nd or 3rd. So you go May, June, July of no pads, no shoulder pads, no shells, no helmets, nothing. And then you go back and you've got to do all the reacclimation, 2 days in just helmets, 2 days in what do they call them? Spiders, shells, and then pads. So you've got to do all this acclimation stuff again. If you think about it, what they do in the spring, especially in this era, just doesn't really make a ton of sense.
No, and that's where I was going is that they get some general ideas of positions. Now they can't fix it because there's no spring portal period. It's where LSU has been really hammered by injuries and just kind of is what it is. Going into your season, you're really affected. Knock on wood, it seems Ole Miss has been, from a fall positioning, Pete says, okay from a health standpoint. Now it has completely changed some of the things they're doing this spring because of the offensive line issues and offensive line depth from an injury standpoint. But, what do we know? And, I mean, the quick little version of this is, we know they are elite at quarterback with Trinidad Chambliss. We know that he's going to be a Heisman front runner. We know that he is going to be very, very, very dynamic this season at Ole Miss. We know they are paying Deuce Knight like he's a starter and to be the heir apparent to Trinidad Chambliss next season in case of injury, because it can happen. Ole Miss is evidence of that last year with Austin Simmons to Trinidad Chambliss. So they are full believers in the quarterback position. I have heard from multiple people that they really like their depth and versatility at running back. I don't think Pete's just throwing that line out there in press conferences as a soundbite. I think they believe it. Obviously, Keywan Lacey's Keywan Lacey, but there's some interesting things that Lindsey can do. They've added other pieces. There's some guys there where they like the depth. I think it was a huge goal in the offseason to make it where Lacey doesn't have to carry this thing 35 times and you can let the tread stay on the tires both for you and him moving forward, because both of those things matter. Think there's some hit and miss on the wide receivers. They love Deuce Alexander, but you got a bunch of transfers coming in. Not all are going to hit. Not all are going to pop the way that you hoped. It's just the way the system works. And frankly, Ole Miss has been a lead at wide receiver for 2 years in a row. Keeping that standard up to that level, highly complicated. Would take a ton of not just evaluation hits, but luck. Both of those things, because luck plays a role in this thing. And I think that, it's an interesting thing. We'll stay on offense for a minute, and I'll key you up here, Neil, is that I think they are elated about quarterbacks. I think they're elated about running backs all in. And then I think the question marks come into what does the back end of the rotation look like at wide receiver? And then I don't care what anybody says. Losing Daquan Wright is a huge blow, and there's no guarantee you are going to be as good in both parts of the tight end game, even if it's one player or multiple players or what that looks like. That's just a loss and a spot you're going to have to sort of try to rebuild, because Daquan was absolutely that guy in both capacities.
Yeah, we obviously are hearing a lot of the same things. The quarterback thing is obvious. They love Trinidad, and I think they're very excited about Deuce Knight especially if they're fortunate enough to keep Trinidad healthy and this be a development year for Knight. I think they're both surprised and excited about what's happened in the running back room behind Lacey. I've heard the same thing at receiver. They love Alexander. I heard they love Jonte Cook. And then I think there are question marks. And I think people hear question marks and think, oh, you're being negative. That's not it. I don't know that they have as many certainties as they had a year ago, where by the first game, and again, we're not at the first game. They don't play a game this week.
April 21st.
But by the first game last year, I think they trusted, Stribling, Wallace, Caden,
Alexander to a point.
Yeah, Alexander for sure. They were already buzzing about Watkins. The Watkins thing is, weird dude, a lot of stuff, but he was still really good. He was still a guy that they liked. They were excited
had
about
a key
Daquan.
part of the middle of the season where he was very valuable.
Yeah, they were obviously excited about Daquan. They had lost Luke Haas to injury already. They were cautiously optimistic about Caleb Odom, which turned out to be the right way to be because they did some things, but he was not as consistent maybe as they wanted him to be. And so you fast forward a year, and a lot of those guys are gone. Now, they still have Alexander, who they think is a star. And they have Jonte Cook, who I think they think is going to be really, really good. And then they have a handful of guys that I think they're cautiously optimistic about. But they need one or two of those guys to step up. And then at tight end, like you said, I just think it's a loss. Haas, I wrote a story on him last week. He feels like he's back to the way he felt at Arkansas before he got hurt. And if you remember back at Arkansas before he got hurt, he was emerging as a star in this league. But he's had a hard time staying healthy. And he obviously had a hard time staying healthy last year with the foot. So, I do think there is just some concern about targets. Finding the right spot for Caleb Odom where he can be a major contributor and not just a situational contributor. And then what I hear on the offensive line is that they have 6 guys they really trust. And that two things. One, that's a little scary. And two, there's a little misery loves company here that is the case just about everywhere. I've had people tell me that my offensive line theory that I've discussed here before is right.
And I think long-term impact of the position.
Yeah, and I think that's beginning to be felt in places. So, but again, if today were, what's today, the 21st of April? If today were August the 21st, some of these things would be major concerns probably. It's not August the 21st.
Yeah,
and so you have some time to develop and you have some time to work on some things. And I think you have to keep this in mind that in today's era of transfer portal, the problems that you have are problems that most everybody else has too.
Yeah, that's where I was going, and we'll talk about defense after the break, but especially with offensive line, no one is 9 deep, especially in the spring. Nobody's going to go, hey, I love my 2 deep, and they could replace my first. It's just not the world we're in right now in college football, in football in general, especially in the spring. Again, no portal period in the spring is going to change how we have to evaluate and see rosters because you just simply have holes and you got to manage those the best you can in August and as time gets here and as injuries mount whenever that happens because injuries are going to mount. So we'll focus on the defensive side and go over a little bit of this as well in a second. First, NE Spark, the fastest, most reliable fiber internet option available. Whether you're streaming the Rebels or connecting with family and friends, they offer both residential and business packages with speeds up to 2 gigabits. To learn more or register for service, that's nespark.com. NeSpark, get connected, stay local.
I mentioned 10 Weekend Thoughts, had some football thoughts in there yesterday at Rebels 24/7. Ole Miss, it's brought to you by Andrew Sego, Sego Wealth Management. Ole Miss had a great portal season. we're talking about, you can too. Do you have an old IRA or 401k with a former employer? Is that money stuck with a bad team, not living up to its full potential? Put that account in the transfer portal. Let a fellow Rebel professionally manage it for you. Andrew Seago Wealth Management will build a playoff caliber portfolio just for you. Book a quick discovery meeting today at rebelsretire.com or 901-482-2676. Maybe you need tax savings strategies or retirement income planning. That's what they do every day. So give them a call at 901-482-2676 or rebelsretire.com. Have a mailbag to you tomorrow at Rebels 24/7. It's brought to you by Art Hayes, Sotheby's International Realty. Are you thinking of making a move? Put the power of Sotheby's International Realty to work for you. As a licensed agent with Sotheby's and a supporter of all things Ole Miss, Art can help you buy or sell in your hometown or anywhere in the world at no charge to you. Seriously. So call and ask Art how. 612-805-5929 or email Art at arthur.hayes@lakesmn.com. Also brought to you by Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating. Different names, same great people, products, and services. If you live in Oxford, Batesville, Tupelo, or the surrounding area, call Comer, 662-801-1777. If you live in Memphis, South Haven, Hernando, those areas, call Southern, 662-429-4429. And we're presented by ENT Physicians of North Mississippi as the largest private ENT practice in the state. Their goal is simple: delivering fast, expert, comprehensive care for patients of all ages with ENT, allergy, sinus, dizziness, balance, and voice-related needs, with same-day or next-day appointments with ENT urgent care for that annoying cough or sore throat, in-office CT scans and same-day allergy testing, and access to their comprehensive audiology team offering a full range of services from hearing aids and custom hearing protection to potential surgical options. ENT Physicians of North Mississippi are committed to removing barriers to care. They now have new locations in New Albany and Starkville, in addition to Tupelo, Corinth, and more. Get more details at entnorthmississippi.com or call 662-644-6513.
Podcast also brought to you by the Jackson Graber Group with GMFS Mortgage, John Graber in Oxford. Help all home buyers with first home, new construction, refinances, local in-house processing, underwriting, servicing, and construction. Also an expert in condo financing to take care of you. Need an expert? Use John. So if you're buying a home, refinancing, or just have mortgage questions, that's gmfsmortgage.com/JGG, 662-762-4502. Defensive side is where I think they think upgrades have happened in a lot of areas, especially in the back seven, if you will, for the Ole Miss defense. They've gotten athletic compared to everybody else. Gotten more depth. Pete being a defensive coach, it's not overly a shock. I think they've been trying to be more balanced with their additions when they looked at recruiting in all facets. Just because of turnover, probably not the depth that they are used to on the defensive front. I think that's an obvious thing as we're looking here, but I think they believe that linebacker and then defensive back, they have gotten more athletic and more talented, at least, as the early returns are coming in.
Yeah, and the defensive line thing, Chase, is the same thing everywhere. I'm sure there's a school or two out there that has a bountiful harvest of defensive linemen, but the days of that are coming to a close. Those guys are in such demand in the portal, and if the current system stays the current system, you're not going to be able to keep 10 strong defensive linemen to rotate around. I mean, frankly, that's where Ole Miss wasted an opportunity in 2024 because they kind of had something similar to that. There and a couple people in the stream are pointing this out, and they're exactly right. I think because Ole Miss did as well as it did and went as far as it went and came, a stop probably from going to the national championship game, we forget how anemic the defense was at times last season. An Arkansas team that went 2-10 in overall, 0-8 in the league in September. It was funny. I was watching, John Gruden does those deals with quarterbacks.
Yeah.
he was doing one with Taylor Green, the now former Arkansas quarterback, who had really a phenomenal game that day in Oxford. And Taylor Green was talking about the Ole Miss game and then the Memphis game, that they had the same thing sort of happen to them a week later. And then their season fell apart. But you go back and you look at the highlights of that game. Taylor Green's kind of running free, kind of getting whatever he wanted. That was bad linebacker play.
20 yards away from an entirely different season.
And then Georgia's punter in the game in Athens got the day off. He had to kick.
That's right.
He had to punt in the Superdome, but he did not. I guess he held for extra points and field goals. He got busy with that, but he didn't
punt.
He did not punt that day.
Ole Miss lost the game where they scored touchdowns on their first 5 possessions. Isn't that correct?
Yes, Ole Miss.
Yes.
Ole Miss had 5 possessions that stretched into through 3 quarters, and they scored a touchdown on all 5
and lost.
Yeah, what a day! That was a day. I had someone ask me, like, it's actually one of the things I'm working on, like 10 days you remember on the beat, and that's definitely one of the 10.
Oh, really? The Georgia day?
Yeah, Georgia game, absolutely. They asked me because they knew the whole draft, Tunsil, 10-year anniversary thing of a day that I certainly remember. They were asking about that, and so I started thinking, what are the other days I remember on the beat? And that's definitely one of them. Because the way the phone rang, you just sort of knew.
Interesting.
And then you started watching body language, and you're like, oh.
So were you writing this, or are you going through it with, like, for a podcast? What are you doing?
Probably going to do. I'm changing the way I do 10 thoughts.
Okay.
And I'm going to kind of do some stuff like that.
Some lists,
especially,
if you will.
Especially summer, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that was one of the days for sure. The day of the Georgia game, the entire day. That game didn't kick until 3:30 Eastern, and yeah, 10 that morning started hearing some stuff that checked out, and then I noticed a lot of the national guys were there and were saying things, and then the tweet about what a big day it was for Georgia and for Florida and Athens, and you were like, you can disregard this all if you want to, but these people, and these people aren't. Everybody's kind of gone clickbaity to a point, but some of the people that were saying things and writing things and tweeting things are still pretty reliable reporters that have a lot of national sources, and to disregard them all on one day would be foolish.
And really a weekend, because I started hearing a ton that next afternoon. Saturday into Sunday, we went, oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
It was almost like a 24-hour period.
Yeah.
30-hour period.
Yeah, by Sunday morning, it was like, oh, this is on.
Because Sunday night is when I felt very strong he was gone one way or the other. Completely.
Yeah.
Didn't know where. Didn't really care where. Didn't matter, but just gone.
I was ahead of you. I thought that by the time I got back to my hotel on Saturday night, I would have bet any amount of money that he was not going to be Ole Miss's coach in 2026. Any amount.
One little sidebar back, because it's probably the biggest improvement. We didn't mention it in detail there. Ole Miss, there's going to be some mistakes probably, but they love the athleticism and depth in their secondary. That's been the biggest improvement to this Ole Miss team in their minds one season to the next. There's no doubt about that. So just between Crawford and what they got back and everything else, they are kind of licking their lips, if you will, over the secondary and the possibilities that are there.
Yeah, as Bull Durham, Crash Davis would have said, not Crash, but Luke Lelouch would have said that they feel pretty woolly about their about their defense. I think they think they have, health permitting, a chance to be special on that side of the ball.
Yeah,
and I don't think they were special last year. Look,
they were good, but no.
They were good. They were better by the end. They did a good job of coaching and figuring out what they could do and things of that nature. But let's not pretend that Miami didn't sort of have their way with them that day. they made plays and they got out of it and they limited damage and they did some things. But, at the end of the day, it's so funny. Sports always come back to this, right? Ole Miss scored with 3 to go. You get a stop and you're heading to the finals, and they could not
get the drive that just lives in lore forever, that you went down and you got the score in a game that you felt like you were chasing your tail the entire time and you had the lead. Ole Miss didn't have a first down in the first quarter.
Yeah, but they couldn't get the stop.
Yeah.
They because ultimately that was where you were weak was, at linebacker. You didn't have the defensive line depth that you probably would have liked to have had just a little bit more, where those guys got gassed late. They're big people, and they've played really, really hard, and they've been out on the field just a little too long, and they're a little gassed, and your linebackers aren't in the right place, and you're a little susceptible at a corner spot.
Probably the worst matchup you could play from a skill position standpoint on the other side.
And Beck's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
Beck will go down. He will go down as a really good college quarterback. The numbers are what the numbers are. And so, he made plays, and ultimately their offense was better than Ole Miss's defense, and it won. But I think they feel like they've fixed a lot of that.
Somebody asked in the stream, and it's a valid question, what I heard that day. I talked to somebody very close to it, and Lane was going on and on that Sunday after the Georgia game that no matter what, there was going to be multiple games a year, that the other team was just going to have more talent, that the Georgia game was lost in recruiting and lost in resources, and there's nothing he could do. And it was this pity party on the surface, but that wasn't what it was. It was laying the groundwork for there's just always going to be this, and justifying a decision that was coming. And whether it be Florida or LSU, it felt very clear at that point that he was not going to be Ole Miss's head football coach moving forward. Again, you got to know. So, you're never going to come out and put that in writing and go, he's gone.
Yeah,
but you just had feelings where you went, oh, this is the start. Because I firmly believe he thought they were going to lose in Norman the next week, because he had such an odd reaction after they won that game in Norman. And it almost created a captive situation at that point. So,
yeah, that would be probably a really good summer podcast to dive deep into that. That's interesting that you say that. Do I think he felt they were going to lose?
I think he felt that a loss would free him. Let's put it that way.
Oh, I agree with that.
And thus, the ropes tightened once.
I'd actually love to ask him that. Like, did you go into that game in Norman thinking you were going to lose?
Think you'd ever get an honest answer?
Probably not, but I'd still love to ask the question.
Yeah.
Because I think he went into that game in Athens feeling like they were going to be really successful offensively. What I heard that morning was that he just felt like, watching Georgia on film, that they had the types of players that he could not get at Ole Miss. And that you would always have to be perfect to win games like that. And he wanted to be in more of those games with that spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't believe that he could consistently do that. I think he felt like at Ole Miss, the only way you got those players was the portal. And that as the portal got more expensive, it was going to be harder to get those players. And that it was going to get to a place where you were going to have to overpromise money and then spend all your time scraping it up.
Yeah,
that's what I was hearing that morning, was that's what he was saying to people. It's what people were saying in those hours and days leading up to that game in Athens. And then after the game, I remember asking him a question that, looking back, was a great question. I swear I'm not bringing up the NBA here, so everybody just take a deep breath. But in the NBA, like Minnesota last night got game 2 in Denver. They're leaving Denver going, we got one.
Yeah.
We're good. Got one. And Ole Miss had that back-to-back road trip, Georgia, Oklahoma. But if you looked at the rest of the schedule, you're like, if they could get out of that with just one loss, they got a real shot at 11-1. And so I basically asked him, is this kind of like do you have to turn around quickly and focus on Oklahoma, knowing if you get one of these two, you're probably good? And he couldn't go there mentally in that moment. He was still thinking, man, we just had this super efficient day and it wasn't enough. And then that environment at Georgia, and it was really loud in the fourth quarter. That environment at Georgia, I think he was looking around going, this is what I want. I want to have this. I'll never have this. I'm not saying that's right. Let me be perfectly clear. I'm not saying Ole Miss isn't intimidating or loud or any of that. I'm talking about what I think he was thinking. And I think from that point forward, it was just done. Actually, I think looking back, it was done long before that. I think that was just the final nail in his decision.
Ole Miss started turnkey moving in week 4. Week 4.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
4 or 5. Whichever.
I mean, people,
same difference.
People had to know. Yeah. Had to at least suspect.
That's true. Thought 10-2 would get you in at that point in the season. Or at least the thought of it. Yeah.
I'm gonna give us credit because I said on this show repeatedly, and it pissed people off, but I did say it, and I think I was right, that if you looked at Ole Miss with the way the schedule shaped up and who would be wins and losses, and if LSU fell off and blah blah blah, that 10-2 might not get you there. 10-2.
We had a 1-year sample size. I
said it over and over and over, and I think I was right. So I get a lot wrong, and I admit it when I'm wrong. But I every once in a while I'm gonna get one right, and I'm gonna claim it. I don't know that 10-2 gets Ole Miss in last year. In fact, I think it probably doesn't.
Yeah, especially depending on who it was to, because that would have mattered greatly.
Well, probably. Because the win over Oklahoma ended up being a major feather in their cap.
Yeah, it's true.
And the win over LSU diminished as the season went on. The win over Florida diminished as the season went on. The win over Arkansas meant nothing. The win over Mississippi State meant nothing. The win over South Carolina got diminished over the course of the season. It's not Ole Miss's fault, but it is what it is. The Washington State win, hell, gave you a little bit of juice, but it wasn't a lot of juice. You just didn't have a real – had you lost to Oklahoma, you weren't going to have a lot of sexy on your resume. When you beat Oklahoma in Norman, you had this really nice win, and then you were able to go and look, man, they played Georgia nip and tuck. It was right there, and then they beat the hell out of most everybody else. They, the Tulane win ended up being a nice win, the one from early in the year. They were able to build a resume, but if you take the Oklahoma game off that resume, I just don't think they get in. Whether they should have gotten in or not is another debate. But whether they would have gotten in, I don't think they would have.
Well, especially when you lost a spot, because remember, the way the thing came out, you had to finish top 10, not top 11, because of the whole Miami-Notre Dame group of 5 mess that was playing out on the other side because of how the rules worked. You lost a spot that you even had the year before to get in. And I think that plays into it as well. So, all right, we'll stay on the football topic in a second. Before we do that, tell you about Horn Legend, hornlegend.com. Again, they've got their sports shirts in about 80 different colorways right now, and you can wear them under anything or just wear them for a day-to-day activity. That's one thing, is that it's heating up around this time of the year. They will take care of you because they're great everyday shirts, lightweight and breathable, perfect for the warmer months. They look really sharp, too. Shirts you throw on because it's comfortable, looks good, and works for anything. Again, click MPW Digital in the drop-down. Would greatly appreciate that. That's hornlegend.com.
Arnett's Fine Jewelry is a 4th-generation jeweler located in the old Lamons building, North Lamar Avenue in Oxford. They offer expert jewelry repair, diamond engagement rings, wedding bands, stackable diamonds, basically all jewelry that you're looking for. If you're looking for gifts, got birthdays, obviously graduation right around the corner, anniversaries, that kind of thing. Arnett's has you covered. Flexible bangles, diamond pendants, earrings, and more. At Arnett's, they want to be your jeweler. It's not not only double-decker week, but Georgia coming to town for a big baseball series at Swayze. Weather's going to be nice. Going to be a little cool in the evening still. So if you want to get that quarter zip, polo, your T-shirts, whatever the case may be, the College Corner's got you covered. More than 4,000 square feet of the best Rebel gear in Oxford. You can go to their new location at the Oxford Commons, right across from Chick-fil-A there off Sisk. Plenty of parking. Their staff's going to have you in and out, ready for Swayze in no time, with all the brands you know and love. Horn Legend, as Chase just mentioned, Nike, Champion, Antigua, just to name a few. You can also have the 2 locations in the Jackson area, and you can go online to collegecornerstore.com. And after you've loaded up at College Corner, you're getting ready for the outfield. You need some Coors, of course. Since its inception in 1873, Coors Banquet has been brewed in the same tradition of the original 150-year-old recipe. Banquet's crafted with 100% Rocky Mountain water, so when you're enjoying a banquet, you are drinking history. And when you work with Argent Wealth's 401k advisory services, you gain a valuable advisory team and time-saving resource that will help you develop and maintain a solid strategy for your retirement plan. They're committed to providing you with the personalized attention and involvement that you want and need. Their goal is to help you manage your 401k plan properly and ultimately improve your employees' retirement readiness. It's myargentwealth.com.
Podcast is brought to you by Chicory Market, chicorymarket.com, located there in the Midtown Shopping Center on North Lamar. Tons of their fresh selections this month. Got sweet potatoes, local pecans, a lot of different salad mixes and whatnot, as well as their meat and seafood selections are awesome right now. Yellowfin tuna, Gulf shrimp, bone-in pork chops, and much more. And remember, they do lunch every day. You can sit in their atrium, grab some excellent lunch items there from Heath Johnson and his crew. That includes the muffaletta. That includes the sesame ginger slaw wrap. They got a great club sandwich and much more there, including their happy hour. Do what?
The cilantro, I think it's lime chicken.
Okay, is that the play?
Yeah, I've had a couple of times where, as you know, I'm trying to go heavy protein and basically not eat, and a couple of times when I'm like, okay, I need. It's like 1 or 2 in the afternoon. I need something. I don't have anything here. I just want some protein, and I've gone that route, and it's been a winner.
Okay, there you go. chicorymarket.com. They do happy hour every single Wednesday afternoon, live music through April. I'm sure into the summer as well. And then specials on alcoholic and non-alcoholic items. Again, chicorymarket.com.
The muffaletta, if you just don't give a damn, is phenomenal. You can throw that bad boy in the oven wrapped in some foil for 15 minutes. Oh, yeah. That's amazing. That's a different day. Nothing against it. Yeah. I love it. It's really good.
I ran across this yesterday. I think it's from Ryan Brown in the next round. It was a list of SEC passing leaders every year since 2000. And one thing that I found somewhat interesting is there have been 4 occasions. Do I have this right? I want to make sure I'm correct on this. Yeah, 4 occasions since 2000 where one school led the SEC in passing in back-to-back seasons, but it was 2 different quarterbacks for each team that did so. So, like, Team A led in, say, 2006, 2007 or whatever, but it was not the same quarterback in both years. I found that stat kind of odd and interesting. Also, there have been 3 or 4 teams that have led the league in passing at least 3 times during the stretch, which is now 25 seasons. The 4 that I was mentioning a second ago, though, just for the heck of the conversation, Arkansas under Bobby Petrino in 10 and 11, Ryan Mallett and Tyler Wilson did it back-to-back, led the SEC in passing. So 2 different guys there with that. Alabama did it with Mac Jones and Bryce Young in 20 and 21. They actually did it 3 out of 4 years with 3 different quarterbacks because Tua was 2018 with Joe Burrow wrapped in the middle there of that. That man. He had a run, didn't he?
He did. History will view it probably in Wooden-esque nature.
And then the last 2 years, which is why I brought this up, Ole Miss leads the SEC in passing with Jackson Dart and Trinidad Chambliss back to back. So that that is there. Yeah, there. Do what?
So it doesn't happen much.
And Chambliss, 2 starts. I mean, I get he got a lot of playoff games, but 2 starts that he did not have early in the season. The only schools that have had 3 or more winners or leaders, if you will, since 2000. Arkansas has 3, which is kind of interesting. They had Mallett and Wilson, as I mentioned, and they also had Austin Allen. In 2016, you had Ole Miss has had 4, Eli, Chad Kelly, Dart, and Chambliss. Let's see. And then Alabama, obviously, has had quite a few. I mentioned back-to-back, 22-23. It's why I even got on the subject a second ago. Carson Beck was the second of 2 in a row for Georgia. Stetson Bennett led the SEC in 22, and Carson Beck led the SEC in 23. So, yeah, just the weirdest player on here that nobody would ever get probably in a trivia contest would be in 2014, the South Carolina Gamecock that led the SEC was Dylan Thompson.
No shit, really?
You would have had to given me a lot of guesses
to
get to Dylan Thompson.
I'd have never gotten that.
You might have had to spot in me the first name and half the last name for me to get to Dylan Thompson. Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't have gotten that.
Yeah, Jared Lorenzen in 2000, Grossman in 01-02, Eli in 03, Chris Leak in 04, Cutler in 5, Andre Woodson back-to-back in 6 and 7. Sorry, I forgot that. Stafford in 8, Mallett 9 and 10, Wilson in 11. So Arkansas went 3 years in a row leading the SEC in passing.
We've talked about this before. I think people underestimate just how Bobby Petrino had that thing going.
They were the clear number 3 team in the country. They just happened to be in the same division with number 1 and number 2.
Yeah, had there been a playoff system back then, they would have been a playoff team.
Aaron Murray in 2012, Manziel in 13, Thompson in 14, Chad Kelly in 15, Austin Allen in 16. One guy who used to get a lot of mileage on our podcast, Drew Lock in 17 for the Missouri Tigers. Was it his sister that got mad at me?
Yeah,
his sister.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
A little bit of raw hell given to Drew Lock back in the day. Tua in 18, Burrow in 19, Jones and Young 20 and 21, Stetson Bennett, Carson Beck, Jackson Dart, Trinidad Chambliss. So, yes, that is the list. Oh, those good days. Forgot about that. Do you still have the Lock bobblehead up? Is it over there?
Got it right over there. Yep.
So I alerted you to this story this morning. Again, Pat Forty writing on his Louisville Cardinals today for Sports Illustrated. We'll get to it in a second. Pull it up. And it is a situation where I guess if you thought about it and you said, hey, what school is really going out above their skis and trying to just make things work? And I think, hey, I really sat down for a minute, Louisville would come to the top of mind because remember they were the school that at the last minute grabbed Tyler Barron from Ole Miss in the recruiting period 2 years ago, and has been a very real player, kind of above what you would have anticipated. Basketball, they've tried to get back in that business, and this story has several parts of it that I find interesting from the standpoint of their argument is, yes, we are spending at a level that's not sustainable, that is stupid, frankly, but if you don't win, none of it matters. And the argument is if you don't win, everybody's getting fired and everybody's out and it is just a disaster. Whereas for the most part, if you're just completely over budget and you've got loans out and you've maxed out every credit card but you're winning, you're probably okay. That is their argument. And when I think through it, I guess we'll see where it goes. But I'm going to read a little bit of this here. Says that he opens it and find the quote that he starts it out at. 1 second. I had it up and then I kind of missed it. It says, we'll just go here because it's fine. I'll start here. It says, we just have to put ourselves in the best position possible. It goes back to the old saying, it's good to have opportunity and choices, Well, if we're not successful, we don't have opportunity and we don't have choices. On March 2nd, the athletic director was who was talking there. President of Louisville, and the Board of Trustees chairman published a white paper that declared, quote, college athletics is running out of time with deficits spread across NBA and NCAA member schools, and Louisville is no exception. Its athletic program reported a $12.5 million loss for 24-25 with the revenues of $154.9 million, expenses of $164. But here's the catch in this. That was despite them running their reserve from $34 million down to $3.4 million. So they ran at a $12 million loss, which does not count NIL payments, by the way. This is operational. So we're talking about a $12 million operational loss after they had $30 million in losses from the reserve. They also have taken out multiple lines of credit with local banks, and the institutional support has increased as well. The president, or the Board of Trustees guy, goes on to say, we're not self-sustaining. We're doing the same thing everyone else is doing. We're borrowing money. But the point is, they're not just borrowing money. They're doing it worse than maybe anyone else in the country, because it's one point I made with Hunter a couple days ago. Ole Miss is very fortunate in not having 1,000 sports. It decreases so much how much money they have to borrow from the university every year to balance their budget. Ole Miss's institutional support, if you see institutional support on a line item, what that means is how much money the university is giving the athletics department to sort of kind of break even and make things operate. That's what that actually means. And Ole Miss's is net very small compared to everyone else in the SEC, and a lot of that goes with fewer Olympic sports that they have to prop up financially in that market. Louisville tries to play the big-time Olympic sports game, and because of that, in the NIL that they're doing, I mean, we're talking about bank loans here in addition to the university funding this thing. This is incredible. I mean, he goes on to say it's the old adage, it takes money to make money, and I don't think anybody's making money in this industry right now, but it takes money to try to recoup as much as you possibly can. Basically, you're saying, I don't care. We're going to throw out budgeting. We're going to throw out everything. We're going to max out the Amex and hope for the damn best. And the problem for Louisville is, what can they actually win a national title in when they do this? What's the goal?
Someone's going to have to explain this to me like I'm 5 at some point. This to me is the giant potential, the red flag to be the poster child here for what's coming. You're openly admitting, and I give them credit for being honest. So credit, and then that's the end of the credit.
Okay.
I mean, I will give them that.
Sure.
At least someone's being honest and going, this is insane. This is stupid, but we're desperate. Okay. But when you promise money that you eventually, it's the credit card thing. You max out your Visa, you get a new Discover, you put the Visa balance on the Discover, you max out the Visa again. Well, now you've got a Visa maxed out and a Discover maxed out. So you go get a MasterCard and you put both balances on it, max it out, and then you max them out again. At some point, you're not going to get a new card. And people are going to come to you wanting the money at interest. Well, when that happens and you don't have it, and you're using this essentially to pay players, if they don't get paid, they won't play. I don't think anybody's going to look back on that at that point and go, well, I tell you what, man, I mean, it was fiscally irresponsible, frankly, fiscally criminal. But, hey, at least you were trying. Great job.
Well, again, it's a capable football program. I get it. It was a damn good football team a couple years ago. But you're doing all this and you're sacrificing everything, and the reality is you're going into the opener against Ole Miss a 10.5-point underdog. I get it's on paper, but just saying.
And people, look, I love basketball. It's a great sport. I love it. It's my favorite, probably my favorite sport to watch, probably my favorite sport to cover. I enjoy it. But this is not about Ole Miss. So you know that because you and I have talked. This is not about Ole Miss. This is about just the sport in general. some of the people that are investing in this to the level that the investment is being made, it doesn't even make sense.
Well, Louisville basketball so far in the portal has spent a reported $12 million on 3 players.
I mean, you're going to have to explain to me how that makes sense.
It's Kansas center Flory Badungra, I don't know. Oregon point guard Jackson Shellstad, and then Carter Knox from Arkansas, for anybody catching up.
Yeah, so
$12 million bucks, 3 players.
And Carter Knox is a good player, but he's not moving the needle. He's not going to take you to the title. I mean, Arkansas went to the Sweet 16 without Carter Knox. Had they had Carter Knox, they probably still would have lost in the Sweet 16.
I know he's happy because he has the budget, but Pat Kelsey's comment. We have an administration that's leaning into the new era. We don't have anyone sitting around wishing it was still a bygone era. Josh and the leadership team are forward-thinking and as aggressive as any front office. The guys put wind at our back. I mean, look, if I'm the basketball coach, whatever. I don't give a crap what the university budget's doing. I mean, I'll take my $20 million to put my roster together. Thanks, Josh.
I mean, I don't blame him.
No.
And I'm the same way about the agents. I don't blame the agents that are asking for this money when they get it. And frankly, that's what you're supposed to do. I mean, I carry over. I know there's a lot of Jimmy Sexton disdain among fans. I share none of it. None, zero. And I'm not with the even the street agents that are doing this. Look, if you can get the money promised that you're getting promised, you're doing your job. Now, I do wonder what happens when that money doesn't come to fruition.
And then here to that, they said the financial reality is if you don't win in football, nothing else matters. They're spending between 22 and 25 total in football. Well, that's not top 15 in the country.
And he's frustrated.
That's not a number that's gonna scratch. Again, assuming this NIL go thing.
I take it Braum wasn't quoted in this story.
I do not see Braum's name in this outside of. I'm scrolling. I'm trying. Oh no. Let's see. We got one. You want to read his quote?
Yeah. I want to hear this because his last few quotes have sounded pretty corporate.
What once was a number you try to stick with gets outdated fast. I think our people here do a great job of using all of our resources. We got a pretty good nucleus of donors and supporters to do their part. Everyone knows me. We do try not to just spend to spend, at least with football, which is what I can speak for, but everyone's trying to keep up with the race. I think our guys work really hard at it, and we're appreciative of everything we can get in that aspect because that's kind of what recruiting has turned into now. Relationships are important, but it has a lot to do with the bottom line. What can I get? That was Jeff Braum.
Yeah, okay, well. I mean, hey, listen, I'm a fan of the transparency and honesty at Louisville. Give them that today. I mean, it's broken record stuff, but
his other quote is basically saying, "Yeah, I get it. We've won in basketball at a national level, and that'd be awesome if we could get football there." But there felt like a twinge of, hang on, basketball's getting $20 million, and I'm getting 25. They've got 13 players. I have 100.
What are we doing?
Just saying. It's kind of what that felt like.
Even in football, I mean, your interview with Boyce comes back to mind. Glenn Boyce, the Ole Miss chancellor. What happens if? What happens if NIL Go is a stickler? What happens if there is some sort of punishment that is meted out that or administered that is applicable when you go above what was approved? What happens when you can't get some of these massive numbers approved? And again, I'm doing what happens if, because you can also go, what happens if you don't? Cool. I get it.
Well, that's the thing. They're assuming either something's going to save them or it's not going to matter, one or the other. And they will figure it out, and the university's in lockstep to go, yes, this matters. I mean, here the last quote of the story: the success of the Louisville Cardinals impact the morale of our city more than any city our size in America. The most important person in Louisville is the starting quarterback, starting center, or point guard. When we win, the sun is out. When we lose, it's gloomy and people yell at their dog and the pizza doesn't taste as good. Okay.
Yeah.
Spin the wheel and let's see what happens. I'm in.
I mean, I get it.
My point is you're completely selling out and you still are ranked 20th. Like, okay.
Well, I guess this would be the conversation. We always do the hand raise guys thing, right? If you're sitting in the room and someone comes to you and they go, well, what do you think? I mean, I might go, let's just break the rules and beg for forgiveness later if we have to. What if there are no rules? Let's just do it. Everybody loves winning. And then when the person across the room says, what if there are rules? What if the rules get enforced?
Yeah, what's our plan?
And then my answer to that is, we're effed. We're screwed. And that's the decision you walk out of the room having to make. Because those are two pretty extremes. I don't know which one's right. You could talk me into either one. But I do listen when the Glenn Boyces of the world say what he said.
Sure.
And I'll repeat this because someone on the message board yesterday was like criticizing you and me, like, oh, you guys are just nice to people that are nice to you. I don't know Glenn Boyce on a personal level. I've never met him. So I'm not defending a friend here. I'm not giving extra weight to his words because of a friendship. I respect him. I don't know him. But I do know that he is the chancellor of one of the 16 SEC institutions, and that he's in the room for some of these things, and that he's got a couple of administrative spots in higher college athletics.
NCAA Board of Governors, SEC Executive Committee.
There you go. So he's not speaking. He's not just making it up. I mean, he's speaking informed. He's educated.
I mean, our outlet was probably the most critical of his hiring process, I would assume.
From
2019.
But yeah, I don't know how you can just disregard his words.
Yeah,
when he says
you can do the Dumb and Dumber and put your fingers in your ears and say the really annoying sound, but
I think his exact words were, this message is for Ole Miss people. There's going to be pain.
Yeah.
I took that to mean there's going to be pain.
Yeah, that's
I mean, it's not
speaking.
code. I mean,
I may buy one this week. Speaking of Louisville, we'll end on a good note. I saw the Bats are doing their annual week where they play as the Louisville Mint Juleps, and the caps are fantastic. So anybody that's I've watched a lot of Louisville Bats games over the years, so I'm always kind of keep up with them a little bit, and they have great caps this week with the Mint Juleps.
If I were running a college athletic program, I think I might try to go to some of the best minor league people out there and go, we're hiring you to do our marketing.
Yeah, do all that stuff.
Do the fun stuff.
Yeah, make it fun.
Yeah.
No, they do that. They have fantastic stuff. I mean, I've told this on the for anybody new. I've told this on the podcast. I had those couple years there where I was in Louisville all the time, and I'd go to Bats games and hang out or whatever. I think I have seen Travis Wood throw 15 minor league baseball games. Every time I went up there, Travis Wood would pitch every damn time. So yes, I'd see Travis Wood over and over and over and over and over again. Yes,
that dude's kind of insane.
Huh?
Travis Wood.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, like human?
He was with the Cubs for a while. Yeah, like I think he maximizes life. I'll put it that way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Bats were or I guess still are, the AAA for the Reds. So that's where I was seeing him before he was a Cub. They were the Reds.
He ran with like Lester and John Lackey and those
really?
Guys. Yeah, I think he was quite I think he enjoyed parties.
Oh.
I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying I think he would be probably an interesting person to listen to the stories.
Yeah, for a minute there was when, and maybe it came down in rehab. I don't remember if it was before he got up or if it was rehab starts. I know I was at a few of Cozart's games when he was in AAA around before he completely got up for the Reds every year and was a mainstay that did well financially and just simply playing career there for Zach. He was back last couple weeks ago with the 06 team.
Yeah, he was there. I saw
last week.
Yeah. With that Saturday game, he was there. He had a really good pro career.
He did. Yeah, he was the guy that did we talk about this on a podcast? It was during COVID. Somebody did his contract in a way that almost nobody else did it. So when they got their contracts prorated, his was written that did not have proration. So he was like the highest paid player in Major League Baseball in 2020 or something, because his agent was aware of some loophole to make sure he got full freight that year. Yeah, I don't know the whole whatever, but yeah, he had an agent or a manager or whatever that got him a lot more money than he otherwise would have gotten when all that went down. So
I don't know why I'm thinking about college baseball now. I was watching a little bit of the Cubs game yesterday, and it's Aaron Nola pitching to Alex Bregman, and they were roommates at LSU. And I was like, God, they were on the same college baseball team? Holy shit.
Yeah.
No wonder. God.
Well, I mean, Paul Skeens and Dylan Cruz.
Forget how talented that group was.
Yeah. We'll take our final break real quick. Tell you, podcast is brought to you by G&M Pharmacy, 662-236-2222. They deliver locally in the Oxford area and offer medicine for prescriptions same time each month. Take care of you. One trip to the pharmacy, one delivery. Everything you need when you need it with G&M. So that's 662-236-2222.
We're brought to you by John Edwards, Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. John's part of Virtuoso, worldwide network of travel partners that allows him to supply his clients with added values, unique benefits simply not available to other travelers. If you're trying to create a special trip that makes a lifetime of unique memories, get in touch with John. Give him some parameters, give him a budget, and then let him give you options that you're probably not going to find on your own. And no, you don't have to live in or near Memphis to take advantage of his services. You just need a phone or an internet connection. 901-494-3387 or jedwards@regencytravel.net. Get the beautiful, healthy smile you deserve at Corinth Dental. Dr. Bubba McQueen, Dr. Jenny Beth Hendrick are devoted to restoring and enhancing the natural beauty of your smile using conservative, state-of-the-art procedures that will result in a beautiful, long-lasting smile. From routine checkups to advanced treatment, including implants and Invisalign, Corinth Dental's here to help you achieve your smile goals. Schedule your appointment today. Take the first step toward a better version of yourself. It's corinthdental.com.
Yes, Doug Nikhazy was claimed by the White Sox off waivers, and so far he has appeared in one game for Chicago. He threw 2 innings and allowed 1 run, the best I can find to date on Nikhazy.
Ace of Spades is asking me to be more specific about the pain that I'm referring to. You did the interview, so you probably can clarify that better than I could. I took it to mean him saying that there are going to be market corrections that are going to
He is saying that now I'll go and that some of those regulations are going to 100% not allow teams to pay the money they are promising these athletes. That is what he is saying.
Yeah.
Yes. And then it's going to create all sort of issues nationwide.
And I took that to mean that, Ole Miss is probably not immune from that.
No, he did not act uncertain. He was very certain in his quotes and thoughts there. It was not a guess.
Look, I think this fall's got a chance to get really ugly in college football. I do. I don't know where that will happen or when it will happen, but I think this is not just a Neal thought at all. I think basically Glenn Boyce just agreed. Not saying it will, but I think there's a recipe where this is a topic that gets discussed a lot, and the people that are like just stick to football are going to kind of lose their minds over. I think it's almost a certainty that there will be weeks that coaches are getting ready for games not knowing precisely who's going to be available.
Yeah, I think that will happen throughout the country.
And coaches will have to be pretty diplomatic about it, because if you say the wrong thing in frustration or whatever, and you hurt your ability to recruit from the portal in a few weeks.
Oh, coaches are going to be put in a really weird spot with this. Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
Coaches are going to have to treat it like an NFL coach does when there's a lockout. I mean, not a lockout, but a holdout.
Yeah,
a player doesn't come to camp and he's battling with the front office, wants a trade, wants a new contract, doesn't want to get the tag or whatever.
The coach kind of just ignores it.
The coach just, I mean, I'm sure he's involved, but publicly he's got to go, hey, right now we've got to get our team ready for the season. And unlike than the NFL, where that doesn't really impact the draft, you have to be careful as a college coach because you're going to have to go recruit from the portal, and the kids in the portal are going to, okay, so what happened with so-and-so because he didn't get what he was promised. So how do I know this promise is good? So I think that's going to be a thing. I mean, I hope I'm wrong because I don't want to fool with that, but I'm not saying it's going to happen at Ole Miss either. I'm just saying it's going to happen somewhere.
Yeah.
And when it does, it's going to become a topic everywhere. And I'm curious to see how that shakes out because if NIL Go is a real thing and is an enforceable thing, there is pain coming. A lot of it.
You also just have backlogs because there's so many deals that have to get approved and real humans are doing it.
Yeah,
so it takes a minute.
And if you can't pay the money until those deals are done, guys are not getting money when they were told they would get it.
Yes. And every school will handle that differently.
That will lead to pain.
Yeah. Last thing I mentioned at the start, Ole Miss Murray State tonight, 6:30. I guess is the start time. I didn't look that up. That's what I wrote down. Only 2 home midweeks left for the Rebels. Again, UT Martin later in the year, and then Murray State tonight. They won 43 games. They went to the College World Series a year ago. Murray State is 23-16 on the season. They are 10-5 in their conference. They have the number 153 RPI nationally. They are 0-4 against Q1. They're 0-1 against Q2, 3-5 against Q3, and 20-6 against Quadrant 4. Ole Miss has 2 common opponents with the Racers. Kentucky beat Murray State 14-4 at Kentucky Proud Park earlier in the year. I think that's what it's called. And North Alabama beat Murray State 15-5 earlier in the year. Those are the 2 common opponents there for the Rebels and the Racers. So we will have more on that tomorrow. Actually got several topics we didn't get to today, which is good. It's always good for a Wednesday. We might have more information. We can talk about a lot of rumors out there. Todd Golden might be headed to the Golden State Warriors down the road. So I don't know. A lot to get to.
He was at San Francisco before he went to Florida.
He was a Don.
That is someone correct. In the stream, Billy Donovan out in Chicago. I don't see that yet.
Oh,
I'm not disputing at all. I'm looking for it.
Okay.
Watch for Billy Donovan with the Orlando Magic.
The Orlando Magic, you say? Okay. Yes, Billy Donovan is exiting as head coach of the Bulls per Shams.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Yes,
I wasn't doubting. Yeah, there it is. Billy Donovan stepping away from the Chicago Bulls.
He was 226 and 256 in his time as a Bulls coach.
226 and 256.
Not ideal.
Left Oklahoma City because he did not want to go through a rebuild. Went to Chicago and landed in purgatory.
There you go. All right, more tomorrow. Rebels 24/7 in the meantime. Again, Ole Miss and Murray State tonight. So everybody stay safe, take care, and we'll talk to you then.